What's up guys, Mickle here, and the more I study Ripple the company, the more I am starting to understand that one of Ripple's biggest businesses going into the future is going to be helping banks and financial institutions build stablecoins on the XRP ledger. In this video, I want to show you exactly why that's the case, as well as talk about how this is going to impact XRP in the long run. Does this mean these banks and institutions are no longer going to need XRP? They're just going to issue their own coin? In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about that, because it's going to give you such a better understanding of exactly where this entire industry is headed and how Ripple fits into it. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you enjoyed these videos, make sure to take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I actually want to start out this video with a post from David Schwarz that's really going to talk about one of the main issues with one of the current ways centralized actors are trying to disrupt our financial system with blockchain technology, because this is something that causes a lot of fear in the XRP community. It's something that a lot of people call XRP killers, and I just want to show you what David Schwarz had to say about this and then really go off of that. And I really want to show you some proof that this solution is not going to work in the long run. David Schwarz tweeted out in response to this question, "What do you think of IBM's partnership with Stellar and their use of stablecoins?" And this is David Schwartz's response to that. "It misses the point of blockchain completely. The root problem is that global payments infrastructure is centralized. IBM, Swift, and the rest of the old guard attempt innovation with blockchain, but do not solve the centralization issue. IBM has positioned itself as the central operator of the Stellar network, meaning it approves all validators and therefore controls the transactions. The use of stablecoins doesn't make sense to me, even if all these banks got regulatory approval to issue their own stablecoins. Would they all use each other's stablecoin? With the goal of mass adoption, a universal bridge asset has to be geopolitically neutral. A USD-backed stablecoin doesn't solve for that. I don't see how centralized stablecoins can be part of global pools of liquidity that anyone can contribute to or draw off of." So this is extremely interesting, because one of the biggest things going on right now is different institutions are trying to create their own versions of a stablecoin. JP Morgan has JP Morgan coin, Bank of America is going to have Bank of America coin, and just the other day we saw that Citibank actually created their own Citibank token. Now, as you can see, this is something David Schwarz was thinking about a very long time ago. And right here, he goes into detail on exactly why that wouldn't work. It's perfectly plausible that all these different financial institutions are going to have their own stablecoins in the future, and that's probably the world we're headed into. But that doesn't solve the issue of how these stablecoins are going to interact with one another. No one's going to want each other's stablecoin. There still needs to be liquidity in the middle, and that liquidity needs to be decentralized and neutral. It can't be owned by any one of the parties. It can't be a centralized system. At the end of the day, the current problems in our current financial system all have to do with centralization. It has to do with people changing the rules on one another. It has to do with people not trusting one another. It has to do with centralized payments being slow and inefficient. XRP solves all these issues and is absolutely necessary in being a decentralized form of liquidity between all these different stablecoins. And I want to show you a very interesting clip that I've been playing on this channel a lot recently, where a member of Citibank actually directly comments on potentially other banks wanting to use Citi token, because this is potentially one of the most important things that makes XRP so valuable. If all of these different banks and institutions were perfectly fine using Citi's token, they all trusted Citi and they all said, you know what, Citi's a good actor, we'll just take their dollar-backed stablecoin, we don't need our own, then there wouldn't really be a need for XRP. But I want you to listen very closely to what this Citi representative says right here, because it goes into exactly what David Schwarz just talked about. Other institutions do not want Citi's token, and if Citibank has their own token and Bank of America has their own token, there needs to be something in the middle. With that said, listen up to this, because you're going to understand that these people are talking about the exact same thing.
For Citi token services for cash and for trade. So now what we can do is we can move tokenized deposits around cities, corridors. Right now it's just US and Singapore with aspirations of adding another 3 to 5 in the next near term. Well, it's great that we have this internal token, but our clients don't want a city token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity. So it's key that now that we have the infrastructure of the platform built internally, we work with like Regulated Liability Network and other participants about how do we solve these difficult issues as an industry. And there's still a lot of questions out there, but this FMI that RLN aspires to be is extremely positive because
So the city representative says it right there. Other banks don't want cities tokens, and there needs to be some kind of bridging protocol between these different tokens. That is exactly what XRP does, and that's exactly how Ripple has been positioning XRP. David Schwarz knew 4 years ago this was going to be the problem. He knew this is exactly where we are headed. And I think it's so interesting that now we look back at this time and understand that now all these institutions are finally building their stable coins. How does XRP fit into the picture? Well, it is absolutely critical in bridging the liquidity. And I want you to listen to this right here because what you're going to learn from this clip right here, and I've played this one over the past few days as well, is that the big banks are really starting to work with Ripple on this exact issue. Listen up to this.
Notice.
Right.
And again, I'm not an expert on it, but I understand they approached us some time ago, but at the time they were battling some legal battle in the US.
Yes.
And our position to them was, look, come back to us once that's sorted out because you only get one chance at a first impression. And if this court case doesn't go well for you, it wasn't going to go. So anyway, they got a good result in the US court case and they approached us again. And look, we're going to have a bit more of a look at it. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on it, but we may look to promote their product. And again, it'll be buyer beware. We'll say to our members, look, here's this new technology. From what I can understand, it can generate real-time transfer of payments.
Yes.
And they seem to have a lot of checks and balances in place. At the briefing that I was at where I did that post, there was a lot of representatives from the major banks that were
A lot of representatives from the major banks. If these banks could just build their own solution, why would they be working with Ripple? Because they know they can only build half of the equation. They can only build their own internal settlement tokens, but they still need to bridge to all the other networks, all the other institutions. And like I keep going back to, David Schwarz was talking about this 4 years ago. And I want to just finish off with this one last clip of David Schwarz telling you that this is exactly what they're doing in the background. Because guys, so many people are not paying close enough attention to exactly how Ripple is positioning themselves in the middle of this massive shift in our financial system. Listen up to this. David Schwarz is going to tell you that what I just said is exactly what Ripple's focused on doing.
Very, very close to that. We had a deal that I thought was going to close, and then that was 2.5 years ago when the SEC filed suit against us, and so that kind of torpedoed that deal. So we'll see. But we're talking to banks and larger financial institutions about trying to get them to launch some premium stable coins to make that more practical.
So right now, Ripple is working with banks and institutions to help them launch stable coins. So why is Ripple working with these banks and institutions to issue stable coins on the XRP ledger? Because they know that once Bank A has their own stable coin on the XRP ledger, whether it's the private or public ledger, they're going to be in their own walled garden. Bank B is going to create their own stable coin on the XRP ledger, and they're going to be in their own walled garden. Same thing with D and same thing with E. All these different banks, right, all have the ability to create these stable coins. But like we talked about earlier, that does not help anything. Bank B is not going to want Bank A's token. Bank D is not going to want Bank B's token. None of these different banks are going to want each other's token. So what they're going to have to do is go through a neutral pot of liquidity in the middle. As these different banks put more and more value into their stablecoins, as they tokenize more and more deposits, it's going to be more money flowing through XRP as this neutral liquidity bridge. This is so critical to understand. XRP is a vital part of the equation in everything Ripple is doing. Ripple can help these different banks build stablecoins. It doesn't disrupt XRP. It just makes XRP even more important in the entire equation. The more banks you have on the network, the more of a likelihood you have that different banks are not going to want each other's tokens, especially if you're going across different jurisdictions and different nations. All these different banks all play by different rules, but the XRP ledger acts as a neutral level playing field between all of them. None of these banks need to know what's going on at the other bank. All they need to know is that the rules that are publicly available for everyone to see of the XRP ledger are as is. And like we have known for the past 11 years, the XRP ledger has always been up and running and fully functional. That's why they can trust it. So they don't have to trust any other party on the network. Bank B doesn't have to trust Bank A, Bank D, or Bank E. All they need to do is trust that the XRP ledger is fully functional, and that bridges them to every other bank in the system completely compliantly, neutrally, and on a level playing field. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.